Another way you can do selection, and I'm not a real big fan of this, but it has its uses depending on what you're doing. But in this case, I personally wouldn't use it, but I'm just going to show you anyway. You can use the eraser tool. The eraser tool, if you want to make it bigger, you notice right down here it says size. You can drag it to make it larger. So let me just, there we go. And you can see right here. Now notice it's doing kind of a little bit of a spray painting thing. That's because the brush that I've chosen right here is a fuzzy brush. You can see these are all the brushes. This is a hard edge brush. Now watch what happens when I do this one. This you can actually, you can see what I'm doing right here. I would, when you're doing stuff like this, I would go with the fuzzy brush only because it's a lot more forgiving. You can get sort of close to the edge of what you're cutting out. And as you can see, it doesn't do a bad job. It's just when you get into the detail, it's gonna, yeah, see I'm sort of stripping off my toes a little bit. This is another way that you can cut things out and, you know, just quickly go around something. It's actually a good way to sort of prep something to use the other selection tools, you know, so you can just sort of clean around the edges of something like this and then go ahead and use the other selection tools to do a better job. Another tool that you can use is down here. It's called the quick mask. It's this little thing in the corner right down here, and if you click on it, you'll see it gives you this sort of weird sort of purplish color overlay. And what you're going to do for that is you're going to use a paintbrush. You're not going to use the, I mean, I guess you could use the eraser tool, but let's see, what's the eraser tool going to do when I turn it off? Oh, it seems to work. But the usual way to do it is use the paintbrush tool, and if I'm going to click on the paintbrush, fixing things up right here, you want to use white paint, and the easiest way is right up here. You just click on this little arrow. See that little arrow there? You're going to click on that little arrow, and it switches black and white back and forth, foreground to background. You want it in foreground so that it's white right there. Okay. And you're going to use the paintbrush. The paintbrush works just like the eraser. You can choose your type of brush, and these are all different brushes right here. And I'm going to stick with the fuzzy brush. So I'll close that. And again, you can adjust the size, the brush size, so you can make it really big, which is too big, or you can just make it big enough. And what you're doing is you just want to go around the object. I'm making mistakes on purpose here, that you want to cut out, just like this. Okay, and there we go. It's a quick way of selecting. Now when you turn it off, watch what happens. There's my selection. Not very pretty, not very good. So if I wanted to fix it, what I would do is I would select the black paint. I would go back here to quick mask and make my brush a lot smaller. And let's try a hard brush this time. So I got a hard brush. Black paint actually paints the selection back on. So here I can just fix it. Probably want a bit of a smaller brush, but it's okay. So white paint creates a selection, and black paint corrects the selection. I'm going to just leave that little circle there so you can see what I'm talking about. Watch. See? Now, again, this is something that you're going to want to, I did it very quickly. I did it with probably the wrong brushes, but it's a quick way of being able to select something. So if I hit invert, Control I, and then I hit delete. Oops, wrong one. Wrong selection. So invert, delete. There, you can see I've cut them out. And again, you can use this to use a different selection tool now. So if I go to this selection tool, click on the blue, all of the blue is selected, I hit delete. That's a little bit better. Okay, so it's entirely up to you. This is another way that you can select and remove things. And again, if you're using Yearbook Avenue, don't forget to save as a TIFF file.